Okay, I just want to show you a few things for the coordinate geometry we're doing, mainly distance and midpoint. You remember we set up something that looked like a graph, and it was more of a grid, and we had a bunch of columns and a bunch of rows. So I'm going to use the lines that are on the screen at the moment as our columns and rows. And you remember that these were our columns here, starting here. So we had 1, 2, and so on. So we had 3. I'll just skip some, 4, 6. And we called all of these ones our x. So x was how far across we've come. Then we had up here, we had 1, 2, and so on. So we just did 4 just to save us some time. We called all these our y. So they were how far up we've gone. So what we could do then is look at each of these columns and look at each of these rows, and everywhere they intersect was a point. And we could give each point a coordinate. So there was a way to identify them. And the way that we did that was we did brackets, we had the x value, comma, y value. So that meant how far across we've come and how far up we've gone. So let's say I choose this point here. If I want to find out its coordinates, what I do is I see how far across we've come. Well, here we are. We look down here. We've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So its x value is 5. Then we look at how far up we've gone. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that coordinate there is 5, 4. So it has an x value of 5 and a y value of 4. Let's do another point. Let's choose this one here. So let's have a look at how far we've gone across. Well, 1, 2 is our x value. We've gone up 1, 2, 3, 4. Its y value is 4. So you can see that these 2 points here, they're on the same line here for y. So they both have the same y value of 4, but they've got different x values. Now what we can determine from here is the distance between these 2 points, because each of these grid lines is the same length away from each other. So we can say, well, this point is 1, 2, 3. So 3 points away. So it's got if we looked at a line between them, that has a length of 3. If I draw another point here, this one will have an x value of 2 and a y value of 5 because we've come up 1. So this little length here, we know that's only gone up by 1, so that length is 1. So the distance is easy if these points fall on the same line. But let's look at the distance between this point here, this 2, 5, and this point here, this 5, 4. So that, if I were to draw that line on here we are. I want to find the distance between those 2 points. What we can do is use Pythagoras. We can look at how far across we've come and how far up we've had to go, and break that down into 2 different things. So we've drawn a triangle by doing this, and you remember that Pythagoras' theorem gives us an equation that says if I know 2 sides of a right-angled triangle, so this is right-angled, if I know the length of these 2 sides, I can work out the length of this long side here. And the way I do that is with an equation where I have, let's say I call this side here, I call that A, I'm going to call this vertical side B, and this side we're trying to find out is C. So C is equal to, don't get too scared of this, the square root of A squared plus B squared. Now this can look confusing, but in reality you are given these numbers. You are given A and you are given B. You know how to times a by itself, you know how to times b by itself. So that's squaring. You can do that on a calculator. You then just have to add those two results together and then take the square root of that. You can do that all on a calculator. And even with taking the square root, most of the time you're just going to leave it as a square root of a number. So let's do this one. So the length of a here is 3. So I'm going to put it into this equation. I'm going to go square root of 3 squared, because that's what a is. B is 1, so I have to add 1 squared. So 3 squared is 9. 1 squared is 1. So I have the square root of 10. C equals the square root of 10. That is our length. That's this length C here. Now, if I want to find the midpoint of a line, let's say I have this point here, which is 1, 1, and this one here, which is 5, 1. And let's look at the length here. So because this has only gone across, we just know the length is how many x values we've gone up by. So we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. This has a length of 4. The midpoint then will just be halfway, which means if we've gone 4, halfway would be 2. So we go 1, 2. Here is the midpoint, which is, let's see, 1, 2. So that is 3, 1.